Hello, hello, welcome in, welcome in. Those of you who are here live in person, I'm happy to meet you in person. And those of you who catch the recording, I would love, love, love to also meet you and tell me where you are from and what aspects of this job are you in? Are you an educator? Are you a postpartum doula? Are you an infant, like a newborn care specialist? Are you? So let me know what your specialty is. I love, love to know who's coming in. So today I'm really excited. We're going to do a quick training, not keep you too long, and offer you a free checklist and a special offer at the end that I just came up with recently to really, really help you guys bring some different eyes to your work. So today we're going to talk about a couple things. Why primitive reflexes, a little bit, I guess, about what they are and why they need to integrate and what happens to a baby's development when they don't. And some of these patterns that you're already seeing in the babies you work with and what they're actually telling you. And then honestly, these last two is like why providers like you who understand this can command higher rates, longer contracts, and be recognized and having the language that matches your level of care that you're already giving. So that is some of our important points for today. And I will, like I said, want to hear how you work with babies. What is your role? And let me know if you are on recording, where you're from, and bring a notebook with you. Grab a notebook because we got some practical things, and then you can ask me some questions as well. So, what primitive reflexes are? First of all, a little bit about me. Sorry about that. Forget about myself. If you are new to me, let me know that too. If we have never met, you haven't been to one of my trainings. I'm Elizabeth, and I am by trade I'm a pediatric physical therapist and certified NDT practitioner, which kind of specializes me more on the neurological side of movement dysfunction and how that correlates with brain development. And you use that as a practitioner when you're working with children who have disabilities already. They have movement patterns and things that are going on that are limiting their abilities. So, for example, cerebral palsy and Down syndrome, and any, like I've worked with children with TBI. So, we use that training, it's neuromotor and focused on the dysfunction. And so, what happened with me is I worked in every setting with children from birth as babies as well as brand new injuries and to their brain. So it would cause their body to be limited in what it can do. And so after 20 something years of that, and there's a prior to that, I was an adaptive PE teacher as well as a general PE teacher. So that kind of led me to when I'm seeing private patients and specialized in babies, it clicked for me one day that I wanted to do more and being part of the after story of these children who already had all of these challenges, although it's amazing work. I wouldn't change it for anything, is it sparked something in me wanting to do this in a different way. And so the clinical model that I worked in and helped in many children is is reactive to things that already happen, and then they might be working with people like yourselves. A lot of parents have a doula when they're pregnant, and then they have you immediately in the delivery room, and or they hire an infant nanny shortly thereafter birth. A newborn care specialist is the same. So you're there in these early moments, but this clinical world that I was in is reactive. And so all of this stuff already happened to the children that I would meet. And I wasn't a part of that. And so I was in the position of like, okay, what is limiting in their life? What this child wants to do that they can't do? And how much can I help them? and reorganize their motor habits and the neural connections between everything. How much can I reorganize it from what's been already learned, right? And so what I'm connecting in my business, Abilifit, and through this training with you today is how moving all of this forward, or I should say backwards, sorry, backwards to the beginning and talking. Today, we're just going to focus on a little bit on these primitive reflexes and how they come, what they're for, and then what their job is, and then how they can also limit in these children and cause these abnormal things to stick around, which therefore cause movement habits that therefore can cause diagnoses later. Okay, so this does separate out, just to give you a perspective, from a child who had birth trauma, for example, and ended up with a diagnosis of cerebral palsy. So if they had limited oxygen at birth and they were born with cerebral palsy, this work that I am teaching you can help them. And that's what they also go to therapy for, physical, occupational, etc. But this is what I'm talking about today is any baby that goes through delivery, however that looks, and they can be better served and their brain development can be guided on the best path for them from the beginning of their life. And so that's what my passion is. That's why I'm teaching this today, just as a little background in case you're somewhat new to me, is how we can move our guidance for this brain development backwards to the beginning, especially if we understand more about what's going on with the reflexes in utero and then when they're born based on their birth experience. You can have a little bit more information about what happened or didn't happen, and that can give you a clue. So if you're in there with any baby that was born, right, they had an experience. And the more knowledge you have about that experience, what was supposed to happen, what did happen, what did they go through, and then seeing that baby at 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 12 weeks, up, to 16 is such a prime time for what's happening and the birth story and the reflexes and the things that I know that you're already seeing because the people who come to me and come to my trainings are already good. Typically, you're already really good at your job and you want to be even better. And it sparked your interest in like, oh, what's that? I want to know deeper. You want to know deeper about, so what are you already seeing in some of these babies that you may not have an answer for. You may not have like, what do I do about this? Where do I send this person to? Like, how can I help this situation? Because it may not seem that it's in your scope of practice. And so there is a greater ability for you to impact this. As for me, I decided I didn't want to only be the after story and try to rehab as much as I could, but I wanted to be in the before story and mapping out the plan for that baby and the guidance, guiding that development. Okay, so a little bit about what primitive reflexes are is, so they are wired down deep in the base of our brain when we're in utero, so when we're being born, which is absolutely amazing. So we are wired to be able to have certain reflexes to come online and do their certain job, and then they need to go away. So we call that integration. So they show up and they help with something and then they should integrate. And that, when you see that process, that is when everything is happening the way that it should. And what happens is it allows the neurological system to mature and build and do the things that you're supposed to do, the baby's supposed to do when it matures. And so they get to move through all the steps of learning and developing, and it flows. Okay. So sometimes, actually a lot of times, there's something that doesn't happen with. Okay. And that's the stuff that I know that you see. So sometimes there will be um, feeding difficulties. Okay. So the baby won't, latch correctly, or the baby latches on one side, but not the other side, or the baby will snuggle in tummy time, but only at a certain angle. They can't go at a different angle, or one leg maybe kicks more than the other leg. And you probably notice these because you have such experience of seeing. So when you're a new parent, you don't have this trained eyeballs and a brain to see. It's not trained to see things. But for you guys who've seen so many, your brain is trained and you're like, that doesn't look all the way right. But if you look anything up online, it says every baby is different. Always says that. Okay. They are, but there's also the best ways of moving and the best ways of being able to do something. And if that's not happening, and that baby can be given the gift of that is happening, and that can be made to happen easily and through play, knowing about the reflexes and the neurological system, and then you can guide it. So that's what we're integrating today. That was my choice of words intentionally. We're integrating that today. So the reflexes are designed to do a job. They come in at specific times and they should go away on a timeline. There's a range, right? And I'm going to go through two. Let's do two of these today. And I have a checklist for you that was, if you're on my email list already, I was shared it um, early this week, I believe. And it's a free resource. And I have that for you. And the link right now that I had wasn't working. So if you are here or listening to this and you would like this checklist and you do not have it, put checklist in the chat and I will send it to you. And if you're watching this recording, just send me an email. You can reply to any of the emails that you got and tell me checklist that you don't have it yet. Okay. If you just registered for this, you may not have received it. So, like I said, you may have seen these things. You just didn't have, a name for it. Like when I mentioned some of those things. Um, the reason these are important, is because if they don't integrate, they can affect feeding, sleep, settling, which is a fancier term is their regulation, and their movement. Okay. And the thing with movement, a lot of people don't look at it this way. Movement is a window into the brain development. So babies can't speak to us, right? The good thing about babies, one good thing, they're not manipulative so much as like an older person, an adult who doesn't want to do something, like they don't want to do an exercise, they're going to like tell you they're not going to do it. A baby, if they're not doing a certain movement, that is communicating to us because they don't know to manipulate. Wait, I'm not going to roll to my right. I'm only going to roll to my left. They're not doing that on purpose. It means that they are not able to do both, or they would do both. They will just naturally do both. So if they can only feed on one side, that is a communication. It's a window into something. And the reason I say the brain and not only the body is because everything is connected. There's a neurological connection between everything. And the brain is constantly coding and learning and like this. Okay. So that's why I say it's a window into the brain development. It's not just, oh, this is their mouth and they can only feed on the right side because of whatever. A cheek tie. I'll just make that up because sometimes that's what's said, to be honest. I know for a fact of all of my years of working with all different ages that if there's something like that, there's always a motor component. Motor meaning movement, organization of the movement, and then the communication of the movement with the brain. Okay, so the mouth, right? Let's say the cheeks, they don't, and the tongue, it doesn't work independently of the brain. And so what happens is it's like our medical system. You have a um your heart problem. You might go look at the heart, but no one really looked at, well, is it something else? Is it this? Is it that? So I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but like basically saying that if a lot of times people come home with a new baby and if um, they're not eating perfectly, symmetrical, like they're only eating on one side and the other side is challenged. It's either not really flagged as a big enough problem or a lactation consultant can be involved and it might be found, oh, that your baby has a cheek tie and a tongue tie, and so then we treat that. So that is looked at through a small lens. It's like, oh, the mouth is not working, it must be the mouth, and so let's go treat the mouth. And so then the tie might be lasered off and the baby goes through all of that trauma, and it might not even fix the problem because the problem is not only limited to one area. Okay. There are a small percentage, of kids that might be the only thing. And I personally would love to see every one of those children because 9 times out of 10, something else in their body is also limited. Okay. So a little bit off topic, but I feel that it's very relatable to the work that you do and helping you have this neurological lens that I talk about. Okay. All right. Let's just share about two of the reflexes. And like I said, there is a checklist for you. So just comment checklist or you send me an email. Okay. So one of the one of the real popular ones. We'll talk about the rooting reflex. Okay. So it comes on at birth, and rooting is when you stroke the cheek or they would feel the nipple or something here. They can turn their head to the source of their food. So it's pretty amazing reflex. And it should integrate or go away like 3 to 4 months. And so, what can happen in a child where that sticks around for some reason? For me, it's information. It's not so much like, oh, it's so horrible that the rooting reflex stuck around. Okay. It's information. Why is that still here? What is going on? Because remember, I said at the beginning, when a reflex can integrate, then the brain is maturing, it's moving on to the next step, right? So if that's got stuck some kind of way and we saw that, or if it was over frantic, right? Like call it over rooting, searching, right? That's a communication that something's hyper vigilant. That's an imbalance. Okay. There could be a weak or inconsistent rooting. That's information. It could be late or it could be weak. That's an imbalance. Do you guys see where I'm going with this? Is this kind of clicking anything for you? And if it is, let me know in the chat. I want to know if it's clicking before I go on. Okay. So another thing you might see is only rooting to one side. That's information. Okay. Or difficulty transitioning, with the latch. So there's going to be some things you're noticing, and it's like, oh, I wonder what that is. Now, oh, another thing, sorry, I want to mention this is tension in the jaw and the neck. So that's not always related to rooting, right? But let's say they're not turning to a certain um, one nipple versus the other side, right? It might be like, well, why don't they like that side? A baby's not manipulating you. They don't, oh, I just don't like this side. There's a reason. It's information. And so that's what I'm giving you today, giving you a neurological lens. So what we would notice all of this. And then as you go forward, you're going to notice other signs in the body. They're going to clue you in to maybe what is this baby dealing with. Now, the typical route that might happen for this baby is either none of this is noticed and it just kind of stays that way. And then maybe that child has the sensory processing challenges later that someone does notice. And then they get put on a different path. Okay. I'm happy to answer more questions about that path if you guys really want to know. But today I want to focus here at this age group. So what I'm giving you some tools here that we can start seeing these things earlier and not only during their after story. All right, if anybody has a question about that before I move on, pop it in the chat. Pop it in the chat. Okay. Now, remember, you're seeing these things. You just maybe didn't have the name for it. Okay? Now, the other thing that happens, I did say this, but there's a window of time. It's real for these things. And so when the reflex doesn't integrate, feeding and sleep and regulation and movement can be affected. And so then that's another area, right? It's like we're over here, they're only feed on one side. Maybe I got a tie, laser it off. Maybe I got a lactation consultant. And so that's one, right? And then their sleep can be affected. So then that's either I get a sleep consultant to help manage that wake windows, or I ask my pediatrician and he says, no, everything's fine, he or she. The other thing is a lot of times moms will be in a parent group or a mom group and be like, oh, my child won't sleep. This is my wake windows. This is my, so like very rarely is this connected for parents. Very rarely. Like the baby won't settle. Oh, you have an easy baby. Oh, you don't have an easy baby. So it's kind of categorized and normalized. Whereas I feel, and I've created and I teach a way to right then and there, let's see if we can connect this. Let's see if we can like adjust and connect what's going on. You know, I'm going to share a couple stories. I'll share one, and then I have another one about how this extended into a life of a 10-year-old. So nine or 10. So I had this patient, I met her in the restroom because women, we go to the bathroom, and she was trying to breastfeed, and her baby was under the cover, but she was arching so much and screaming. So she wasn't just arching, she was screaming. And um the mom had three other little girls running around, holding her legs, doing all these things, and she's trying to feed the baby, and it was not going well. And I was like, okay, so I say, can I help you? Do you need something? And she looks up and she stares at me. She goes, you can help me? And I said, yes, I can help you. And she's like, I've been praying for someone who could help me. And I have a pediatric chiro, and I have a very well-known lactation consultant in town, and it's helping, but it's like there's something that's missing. And I was like, okay. I said, she's like, what do you see? What's going on? What do you see? And so I told her I was seeing, and how the baby this should be a normal activity for the baby. She should be relaxed on her mom and settled and feeding. And how often does she do this? And the screaming and the clutching and the arching and the is not something's wrong, right? The baby is communicating something is they're not going well. So anyway, come to find, we exchanged information and we did work together, and she drove across town, actually like an hour, and we did our sessions. But um the baby's whole body was affected, the whole body. So there were some reflex things going on. Um, she would only feed on one side comfortably, and then the other side was still like she just wanted to sleep. She wouldn't actually eat. So there was just an imbalance. Okay. She also had, we learned when we were working with her, her her body was very, very stiff on one side and not the other side. So her hips were imbalanced, and there's no explanation for this, but I know in my gut that this baby, without any assistance, would have gone on to have more motor issues, more sensory issues. Oh, the mom couldn't, this is another thing that came out with talking, is that she couldn't carry her in any carrier. She would not do it. She wouldn't snuggle on her dad's chest. There were like all these other little things that came out that I didn't even know were on our checklist, but they were causing a lot of difficulty in their life. And so my point in sharing this is that it's all together. The baby is one body, it's a brain and a body, and it's all connected. And it all has to be working together, or we're going to see these little pieces and parts kind of breaking down. But it doesn't serve the baby if, one, we don't know what we're seeing, or two, they get referred, but like to one specialist, or for the mouth, or it's like so separate and get taken out from each other. So oh, so that I just wanted to share that about that one story. And this is the early window that we're talking about. You're in it with these families, you're already in it, so you don't have to do anything different other than see it. Okay, you can see it. And the free checklist that I'm going to share with you is something you can start using today. I want you to start looking for some of these things. Just keep your eyes on it, especially if you work with multiple babies at the same time. And if you're checking off, 2 to 3 or more things that are on this checklist, and you're seeing them, the baby's not settled, or these things, then that's a clue for you. That's communication. It's the brain and the body are communicating with you that something is not balanced. Okay. And one thing that I've noticed is that the providers who understand this become the ones that the families can't stop talking about you. They can't not share, because like something that they personally experienced, it's way more than asking for a referral, right? You kind of go to like a problem solver. You weren't, to that family. You weren't like extra set of hands or caregiver, it's like, you know what I mean. All right, so I want to talk about one more reflex while we're here, and then I'll see if you have any questions. Um, so I wanted to talk about, I'm going to talk about the TLR, the tonic labyrinthine reflex, and it's very, very common. It's very useful, but it needs to go away because it can be very strong. It's comes at birth. Okay, it's actually one of the ones that helps with delivery in the birth canal. Okay, so if you're stroked on one side of the trunk, there's feeling it makes them shift to the trunk and then shift and shift. So it's actually one of the things that helps them. And so one clue, I'll give you an extra clue here, is that if you're working with a baby and you know about their birth story because you asked, because you know to ask, and they had an emergency C-section for some reason, you're going to clue in now so that they missed that experience of going down the birth canal and experiencing all the things that they should. So that also helps these reflexes. The brain knows I have these, they're supposed to be used. And then this one's supposed to go away 3 to 4 months at the latest. I like it a little earlier. 3 months is when a baby's kind of starting to explore their environment more, and they're not required to have the patterns that this reflex will give them. Okay. They're going to mature and start moving into rolling and separating. I call it like the trunk separation from the pelvis. So that is an advanced movement where it can start having intersegmental mobility. So the spine and the pelvis can move separately, and then even the interworkings of the spine. So when these reflexes stick around too long, it can prevent that. And it's also, remember, everything's connected to the brain. So then something gets blocked there as well. It's like, oh, it's like being stuck. Okay. So um, this one, you can see a few things. You can see arching during feeds. You can see a heavy flexion pattern, which is actually the opposite of the arching. Okay. So it's like one or the other. They won't have heavy flexion, which is bending, and arching. Okay. Um, they can have difficulty lifting their head in tummy time. Okay. So that is a separation of head lifts, body doesn't. So as you can, if you can see that, the body would stay in the head. So that's part of that separating out. One part of your body can do something, or the other part does something else. Okay. Okay. So I just want to make sure I gave you a couple examples there. I wanted to give, now, do you see how, if you have this lens early on, you can be a whole different type of provider for these families? Do you see that? Whole different type of caregiver. This is way beyond being an extra set of hands. Okay. Like I said, you go from like caregiver to problem solver, you know. You're not diagnosing either. I want you to realize, you might be thinking that. You might be like, well, I'm not, a therapist or clinical. You're not diagnosing anything. You're observing, you're guiding, and you're knowing when to refer in a way more educated way. It's not just like, picking people that you might have heard of, or which professional do you send to. It's going to be based on what result do you think that baby needs. Okay. I mean, I know for sure you didn't get into this work to be in the background, only overlooked as providing care for the parent to go to work. I know that you have more to give, and I felt that way too. And I felt that the clinical world, although a great service to many children, was limiting for these children who maybe they don't need to end up in that service. Okay. Before we end and we jump into some questions, I just want to share something with you that today, a lot what we covered was like the why, what is happening in the brain. And I think you might be thinking, okay, Elizabeth, I see this. You can let me know if you're thinking this. What do I do with it? Right? Um, so I've created something just like this week. I decided to pull out from a bigger program that I have, and it's called Navigating Neuroplay, the first 6 months. And so what I'm doing is like it's a step-by-step input and activities in a play with purpose way that allow you to help a baby's nervous system organize, integrate all of this stuff without having a clinical background. And the biggest piece that happens is the families can say, I don't know what you just did, but my baby is different, and what is going on? And so then I give you a little language to be able to say what you're working on. So this elevates your abilities to what you can give, to what you can bring to the situation. So I've been teaching this inside of the full neuroplay program, and this section um, has been $800. But today I've decided to pull the sequences out as a standalone offer to get this into more hands. I want more babies being just given their abilities from the beginning. Okay. There's some founding member pricing, $250 this weekend only. I'm just starting this. I want a small amount of people um, to work with here, but I want to get it more available. You know, this is also for those you wanting to feel more confident and you want to bring more, and especially with the physical component, it's left out a lot of the doula programs and NCS programs. This is not trained in that way because this comes from a clinical space that I worked in for years and trained in for many, many years, and it's coming from the clinical space, but I've brought it down to where all of the clinical part is not necessary, that you can work on this physical component of how the babies are learning and developing and have real answers for their solutions. And this is also really good if you're not ready for like a big certification, this is the best place to start. So if this interests you at all, I want you to put me in the chat. And if you're watching the replay, send me that you're interested, okay, in this. Because I'll send you the link. And my goal is to open this now and shut it down Sunday night when this replay goes away. And it's called Navigating Neuroplay the First 6 Months. If this is something that interests you, let me know. Put it in the chat right now. Send me an email. All you got to do is reply. You're going to get the sequences to use for the first 6 months. You can start the very next day. You're going to know how to use them without diagnosing or treating. You're going to have some language to guide the families through what you're doing. And this is going to bridge for you between seeing stuff and creating the change and then being recognized for what's going on. It's going to give you this recognition outside of that. I see this stuff and I don't know what to say, or, referring maybe to a professional that's going to take them down this complicated path rather than they can have these sequences going on and balance their neurological system. Amazing, amazing gift that you can give. Thank you so much for being here. You are exactly the kind of provider that babies need because you are putting in, you're showing up and I know that you care deeply. Message me. This price will close Sunday night. It's only $250 for now. And I am here for you for any questions that you have about anything that I said. How can I help you? Okay. Hi, Jill. I saw that you came in. What is work do you do? Oh, okay. My full program is 6 months. This one is not going to have it. This is, oh, awesome. Awesome. Lactation counselor and CSC. Okay. This is going to be a video course that you receive in a doula. Awesome. This is perfect. Perfect. I love to hear if you're able to jump on. I'd love to hear what stood out for you today, or did this spark anything? Okay. Caroline, thank you for being here as well.
Wait.
I'm not hanging up.
Oh, Elizabeth,
Yes.
she's the head of early steps in the state of Louisiana. I want you to reach out to her because they do Zooms with all the special instructors, and I do both. I special instruct and evaluator. That way, I think they need you. They need to be on some type of training, and if you can work that out with her, um, I think she'll be very open because of the magnitude of the children we get, especially in this state. So I wanted you to have her email address to reach out for, she's had different people on for different educational stuff, and she is very open about it. And I think that she would be receptive to you coming over and maybe even having meetings, like even in Lake Charles for that area region and different regions, or if she wants to do it by Zoom. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I love that.
Because, yes, because I just know my people that I
Yeah.
worked with so
Yeah.
long. And if
Yeah.
you don't have that intensive motor background,
Yeah.
then you can be an early childhood person. If you don't have that sped ed stuff background, which they're hiring people because we're in such need,
Okay.
then this type of, I don't know what I'm trying to say, um,
Okay.
development that they need, they could even get CEUs with this,
Yeah.
which now you have to be able to continue with your teacher certificate. Um,
Can I ask
oh,
you,
what?
would you mind doing an email or text, whatever's easier, introduction with her? And then that would probably speed it up a little bit.
Her, and I'm also the lady that's in charge of the early childhood program here in Rapides Parish.
Mhm.
She was one of my student teachers.
Okay. Okay.
She's my oldest daughter's age. So I know there's funding for you to come over, and especially with the background you have and with the sped ed and all of that. I'll talk to Crystal. I was talking to her earlier. She made a referral, somebody she talked to, and I had to get her in for early steps eval. So yes, and I will email Carolyn and tell her that kudos to you. This was very interesting.
Thank you so much.
Yes, and I think people, if they really don't, I mean, even as adults, we don't integrate all of it because how many times have you looked over to the right and and your vehicle goes to the left? You know,
Yeah, that's a little dangerous, but yeah. Yeah.
Yes, so you have to be very careful about this integration of all these reflexes. My deal too was the parachute reflex. I have to talk to parents when they put their babies on tummy time to try to put them maybe over a bumpy pillow or something because they don't have that integrated yet. So they just, unless they scared and they bring everything up, then they'll never learn to crawl.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing that my goal with this program that I created, there's a few steps in it. And the reason is because the first part that I'm talking about now, the sequences, anyone can
Yeah,
start doing that, and you don't have, like, say you don't want to go learn all the neurological stuff behind it and the anatomy, right? So my foundation, like the program I have, I go into a little bit of neuro, and so you can understand why the sequences are coming through, what you're
right.
doing. Um, but what happens is sometimes, maybe people don't want to know all the things. But what you can do is just follow this coaching, just do this.
Yeah,
Like every parent can be taught, just do these. You called me, I'm here, just do this. Right. And then it's like they
right,
know that they're doing everything that they can to set their baby's brain and the body and doing all the things, and they don't have to know all the stuff. Right. But then there's
right.
some, that for me is what I want to get out there the most, because then that's a simple. right? And so it takes, it's very
Okay.
complex, which you know a lot about, very complex theories and strategies and knowledge, funnels it down to a very simple, repeatable structure that then every baby can be benefiting.
Right.
Yeah.
To give you an example, I was trying to help a parent. I just did an evaluation on a baby that's 16 months, 17 months.
Mm-hmm.
She can pull up, but she cannot walk. She walks on her knees only. Her
Mm-hmm.
speech is a lot of jabbering, but I
Yeah.
tried to explain to mom, they're taking her to Shriners. I said, let them evaluate her first and then go into, because as far as medical, that as far as anybody knows, there's no background, there's no medical, no, mom had an okay pregnancy, she delivered her regularly, but that little stinker, I mean,
There's
she
something there. Yeah, for
refused.
sure.
So
For sure.
I even said something about DAFOs, asked mom to see if you can use that. Her Achilles is so
No, I
tight.
mean, there's like I would love to see that child. That would be like I want to see that child tomorrow. That's how I that's my that's where
I
like
know.
my brain goes. I'm like, oh no, bring me that child. Bring that child. Um, let's talk again, Catherine. I love that you were here. I put my email in the chat or Eve
Okay.
for you. I mean, I know did you and Jill, both of you, did you register for this? Or did
I
you
don't remember. I've registered for things before,
with
but
me?
I got you. You emailed me.
Oh, good. Okay, so you got an email already.
Yes.
Okay, so you should have my email then. You can reply to that and just let's chat again. Let's chat again. I think that there's a lot of room in here and you can be very influential, to a lot of babies.
Oh, I try. At my
Jill,
age, I am trying. I try, but I'm definitely not doing what I used to do when I was teaching. So,
oh, okay, Jill, let me put it in again. Did you register? Do you know? Do you have, because I would love to know. Let's see, you did ask me a question. Hold on. Whoops, that says OG. Let me type it again. This is my personal email. I will answer both of you. Um, okay, you did ask me a question, I think. Hold on. Okay, so this program, the special right now, there's no length of it. You're gonna get the program, you're gonna get the trainings, and then it's yours. You're gonna, it's just yours. It's a pullout from my certification to what I call to become a neuroplay consultant. And so this is like step one of it's like step point five, but it's like getting started, getting everybody doing the sequences. So that's why it's kind of a special offering. I decided to try this out and see if more people would, come through and get more babies going with this movement. Um, oh, no problem, Jill. No problem. This recording will be sent out, and you can also email me, and we could jump on a call if you want to learn a little more about how this could work for you. What are your goals in your business? I do help people with that too. Kind of like, where are you? Where would you want to go? What things do you have a vision for, and see if this fits for you. So I'm happy to do that as well. I do have a call in 4 minutes. Uh, Yeah, definitely be safe. That's more important. Jill, where do you live? Yeah, I didn't want you to talk and type, did I? I mean, drive and type. All right, we'll just talk later. We'll talk later. I'll send you'll get, like I said, the replay and Minnesota. Okay, fantastic. Yeah, I'm happy to schedule a call with you. No problem. I'll send you a calendar link. I'll send you all the things. And before you jump off, Catherine, sorry, did you have any other thoughts for me, or you want to connect with me via email?
I'm just going to let you know email. I'm going to go ahead and connect with Crystal and Carolyn and
Okay.
see and just tell them that this is an opportunity for them and it can be for CEUs or whatever, professional programming or whatever they want to use. And I'm just going to give them your email address. So it'll be either Carolyn with it'll be Louisiana.gov, or Crystal will be Rapid Parish School Board, RPSB .org.
Your voice is cutting
So,
your voice is cutting out a little bit. Can have you ever done where you do an email introduction? So you email them and me at the same time and you're like, hey, I wanted to introduce you to Elizabeth. She does blah blah blah.
oh yeah, I can do all that. That's no problem. Carolyn knows who I am. And
Okay.
definitely Crystal. All right, baby, we'll go to your next meeting, and it's good
Thank
talking to you, and it was interesting.
thank you so much. Thank you. And I'll send out the replay and you can share that as well.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Bye, ladies.
Bye.
Lovely meeting you.